What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we put the real in reality or whatever. Period.
Period.
I'm your host, Pharaoh. We're joined by our wonderful co-host, Lee. Lee, how are you feeling about the top? Bitch, it's the top six now.
It's a top
Isn't
six.
this an iconic top? Let's talk about this top six, and then let's talk about BB2's top six, because I felt like last season I was like, damn, really, the top best six players made it to the top six last season, and then now I'm feeling the same thing here, low key.
It's like the
Well,
people
maybe
who
not
are,
Amy, no shade.
yeah, she was closest to the power. No shade. It's no shade. Like if you ever replace that with Kiara, definitely that would be like the biggest top six of the game. But in general, it's usually the people who've been the most active in the game or just more involved with the overall path of it all, because like Danielle, Jason, and Marcellas, they've been working closely with each other since the beginning. And then Amy has been attached to that through Marcellas. And then Lisa, when the house flipped, she was attached to it as well. So it's kind of like this startup influence, like I mentioned, that Danielle has created since the beginning, that kind of kept all of these people involved. What I find interesting though is that her main target, Roddy, for like literally the last 5 weeks, is in the top six with them, and it's all because of Jason. Jason,
We're gonna have to.
loyalty, Jason.
We're gonna have to talk a little about who Jason Guy really is as a Big Brother player, because he gets a lot of. He has a legacy, and what I'm realizing is, and what I already realized on my rewatch was, like, legacy and actual gameplay, they don't always line up. And it's no shade. But no, listen real quick, because the Big Brother 2 Final Six, I'm starting to think like that one might have been a little bit higher caliber. And it's no shade. It's really Jason's fault, because you're not eating it up like these people's eating it up. No shade. Because sixth place was Krista. And we all know that's the mother, the legend, the inventor of the floater strategy. She really was carrying a lot of this. She would have won if Nicole didn't, low-key. Bunky, Hardy, Monica, Nicole, and Will. And it's like Nicole and Will is rocking all these hoes. And it's no shade. It's not even no shade. But Nicole and Will were very powerful, very extreme. And then I think Krista was a big power player as well. Hardy obviously was as well. And then Bunky and Monica were very strong socially. And then this cast, it's like, I think there's a big four for sure. But then the other two, it's like, no shade. Amy and Jason. It's like, I mean, y'all cute. And it's no shade. That's just how I feel. But hey, still, great top six. I'm loving that we're here. I feel like the game is kind of like mellowing out towards it just matters who wins the comps, which is interesting, because that's what happens in New Age Big Brother. And in BB2, it didn't really ever get to that mellow point, because there was always something Will was kind of doing and Nicole was low-key trying to take him instead of these other people. But this season, it seems like it's kind of just coming down to, okay, Danielle has Jason here, and Marcellas has Amy here, and Roddy's there, and whichever person wins the comps, that's just going to determine the rest of the outcome, low-key. I think this season is going to be pretty like comp oriented with these next couple of weeks for sure. But hey, child, we here. We started off the week. Jason won the HOH. It was exciting. It was either him or Marcellus. Marcellas is a beast at comps, because he was top 2 in this HOH as it was. I forgot about that. So it was either him or Marcellas. Jason ends up winning.
And that's happy at first, because I'm thinking, like, I don't want, that scenario to take place where someone doesn't get power, they can just nominate Danielle and they have the votes to get her out in the tie. So Jason winning, I was happy, because it's like, okay, he's going to do whatever is best to protect my good sister Danielle. But he even said it. He said the goal of this HOH is to protect Danielle. So why does he then not nominate her biggest op in the game? I truly, truly do not get it. Because you're not protecting her. That's not protecting her, Jason.
But let's talk about the sentence in its own. The goal of my HOH is to protect Danielle. And that's what Jason's game really is, in my opinion. It's him deciding to align or go with the idea that helps the people he's aligned with the most. It's not about what he needs. It's not about what's bettering his game. It's really almost just about, I'm aligned with this person. I want to help them. And that's kind of his game. That's been his game for so long. He was giving Danny every piece of information he got. That was his entire game so far. It's just telling Danny everything he can and helping Danny as much as he can. And it's like, when it comes to helping himself, where does that come?
And that's what I find this week so interesting, is that, like, initially he wanted to target Roddy. Like he was saying it last week to Danielle that Roddy has to go. He started off this week saying that Roddy has to go. I mean, one of the first conversations he has on the archives is him talking to Danielle about how the nominations will likely be Amy and Roddy. He tells Gerry that the nominations will be likely Amy and Roddy, that Gerry doesn't have to worry. So he's spoken with Lisa, Marcellas, Gerry, Danielle about the potential nominees, and it's not into that conversation with Roddy that we see on the TV that he changed his mind. Like that was not TV editing. Like quite literally, Marcellas, Lisa, and Danny all were pushing Roddy as a nom. Jason was in a full agreement into that conversation, and then he changes his mind.
Yeah,
and then he gets called to the DR to do nominations, and then he decides not to put Roddy up. But what I find so interesting is that some of what Roddy used to campaign and stay off the block was that, well, these people are lying to you. You can't trust everything that they're saying. What do you believe? And basically arguing that what he's being fed is bullshit. And Jason essentially believes that, and he's saying that, like, okay, Roddy is a genuine friend to me, and I don't want to go against him in any way. So I'm just like, so if you're believing what he's saying is you're being fed bullshit, then who do you not trust? Do you not believe Danny, Lisa, and Marcellas? But he does because
he talked to Danny about it.
Forward. So I'm really just confused on what culminated to this decision, because you can't have it both. You can't trust both because they're both going against each other.
Y'all know that website Brant Steele? It's this website where you can like create your Big Brother seasons, and you can give everybody a category of how they are strategically and stuff. One of them is about influence. And Jason's would be easily influenced, I feel, because I feel like that's what it is. I feel like when he talks to someone, they convince him of their idea within that conversation. Because when he was talking to Danny, Danny was like, yeah, so Roddy has been talking all this mess about you. He said that ever since the Eric vote, when you went against your word, which low-key Roddy wasn't like not spilling. You did go against your word. You told him you was going to vote, or you didn't. And he said ever since then, Roddy couldn't trust you. He was like, okay. Which is true. And Jason was like, okay, bet. Roddy can go up. It's nothing. And she was like, yes, don't worry about not putting him up because he's talking shit about you. Just put him up. He was like, okay, bet. When Lisa came, go.
Kiara mentioned before she left that you cannot trust Jason. He's not a trustworthy person. So they were also saying, if Kiara is saying this, you have to imagine that she had those conversations with Roddy, which they did several times.
Yeah. So Lisa goes and she tells him exactly the same information, basically. And in that conversation, he's like, yep, Roddy can go. And like Lee said, he had one-on-ones with everyone. And then he had his one-on-one with Roddy. And after he talked to Roddy, and Roddy was basically debating. We saw it on the episode. Like, he called Roddy out. And he told Roddy, yeah, I'm hearing that you're talking shit about me. And Roddy's like, of course people are going to say this. Of course people are going to say that. They're trying to throw me in the blah, 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 blah. And by the end of the conversation, it's very quickly after that, he has one more conversation with Danny. And then after that, he has to nominate. And it's like, when he nominates, he doesn't put Roddy up. And then he claims his reason is because I feel like I could trust him. And he's saying what he's, and it's like, so after you talk to someone, you feel like you could trust him? Because he wants Lisa in final 3 as well. And it's like, why do you want Lisa in final 3? You don't even talk to her that much. But it's like, just because you've talked to her one time or Danny tells you this one thing, you're just gonna like go with what is being said in the moment. It just feels easily influenced to me. It really does.
And I would normally say this was a good thing, because I do think that we've talked about maybe he should be prioritizing his relationship with other people, not just Danielle, specifically with someone like Roddy or even Eric when he was here. But the issue is that it doesn't seem like he was keeping Roddy safe because of that reasoning. It seems like Roddy convinced him after he was already convinced by other people of what he was going to do. And I think at this point in the game, like there was a period of time where I think he should have been reaching out and trying to solidify those relationships with the showmans for real. But that changed once Roddy and Kiara started shifting on him. Like, I think Roddy, of course, needs Jason in this moment because Jason had all the power and he kept him safe. But in general, Roddy does not trust Jason. I think Roddy would take Jason out before the final 2. I don't think he wants to go final 2 with him. Roddy wants to win this game. And there's no way he thinks he can do that next to Jason. So I just feel like at this point in the game, it probably was the best bet to go after Roddy. Or at least if you were going to keep him safe, let it be his decision. I really hated that he was fully down with getting him out until that one conversation where Roddy really didn't say too much different. He was just denying everything. And everything that was said was true.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird because the reason I feel like Jason doesn't have any person, not any, he probably has a little bit of personal intent behind it. It probably is a little bit. I have a deal with this guy, and
And he
he's
says it.
promising.
He
He
says he's
says
kept
he's
his word.
promising to
And he
protect
also said,
him.
like, this is a friend. Like, I feel like he's protected me in this game. He's been a great friend to me in this game. And I mean, it's not unfortunate because I feel like in this situation, it can still help Jason get the win. And that's why I'm so conflicted about all of this, because even this week, like him not wanting to choose a side, him doing the easy move and keeping his word, if he was sitting in final two, he could probably still beat a Danielle, an Amy in this situation, maybe even Marcellas, maybe even Lisa, because everyone looks at him as this honest, open, and nice person. And what he does this week kind of plays into that. And what I find interesting is that it's not an act; it really is just Jason. So it's still like that double-edged sword in a way where like he's not doing necessarily strategically the best move, but everyone still loves him the same. So it's like there's not really a mistake that he can make that's going to cost him the win.
And this might even still be his best move. Like just in general, it's just the intent behind it. Like after he nominated the next diary room, he's saying how much he regrets it because he feels like he gave Roddy the win. So it's like this wasn't even something that you thought was a good idea. You thought it was a bad idea, and you still did something that you thought was a bad idea. And then it probably was a good idea. So not only do you think the good idea was a bad idea, because keeping Roddy is potentially helpful for him, because Roddy ain't coming after Jason. Probably he's probably going to come after Danny first, and then other people who are a threat. And it's like on the flip side, you think it's a bad idea, and then on top of you think it's a bad idea, you did it anyways. So it's like
what kills me is the aftermath of him being like, I think I may have just handed this man the win, and his demeanor after is so. I just don't like the demeanor after it. Like once again, he says this week, I don't want to be in any of the strategic talk. I don't want to be talking any game. I just want this to be an easy week. Like he's, very much wanting to remove himself from the game aspect of the situation. And I really just do not like that, because it's like, girl, you're actively playing a game. But also to just be like, if he screws me after this, it's fine, because that has to be on his conscience. Well, girl, if he wanted $500,000, I don't think it would have hurt too bad. You know what I mean? So it's just, this game is very, very cutthroat. And maybe not as cutthroat in these earlier days, which is why I do feel like Jason deserves some leeway. If Jason was doing this in BB 20 something, I would be over it. In the teens of Big Brother, I would be over it. Like, with this being the early iteration and the fact that he probably could still have a chance to win, like I said, I'm a little bit higher on it, but I hate that he physically takes him out of the strategic gameplay, especially while he's HOH. Like, this is the time you could be making inroads with Lisa that you don't have for real, making more of an inroad with Marcellas and Amy that you do not have for real, or at least solidifying this relationship with Roddy as a final two, something that you guys can sit in the end with together. Like, he's keeping Roddy this week, but he didn't make a deal with Roddy to go to final two with him, because and that's the thing about Jason, his real final two is Danielle, but he also doesn't do anything to help her this week. He does a move that could send her home next if Roddy won HOH. So I just feel like he's so contradictory, but like I said, it's so it contradicts me, I feel, or it makes me look at it weirdly, because I know that there's still a chance that he can win. So it's just like,
Yeah. Trey says, can we recap Marcellas' rant about Julie? We actually can, because it's not too many dealings this week. Marcellas had an interview, or a podcast interview or something, and he talked about a lot of things. One of the things he talked about before we get into the Julie rant was he actually said that he didn't want to play Big Brother. He said that they had to beg him both times, BB3 and BB7. They were calling him and calling him and calling him. And now Marcellas is currently like a talk show host or something. What is he? He's famous
author.
Oh, period. That too. But he's still he still got Getty Images 2024 child. So he's very, very charismatic, I guess, in the way of he's clearly famous, regardless of Big Brother or after Big Brother, which a lot of the girls can't do. So clearly there's something about him, but he claims they were begging him to play BB3 and they had to beg him to play BB7, and he didn't really want to play either. And I think that's interesting when it talks about his game a little bit, because especially in BB7, we'll see, it seems like he's trying his best to just play, honest, and I don't want to be the will, and the way Danny's playing is blah blah. And I think that kind of can make sense when you know that he didn't even really want to play to begin, or claims he didn't really want to play to begin with. So I think but it does match up. So I kind of do believe him because it kind of matches up with the shit he says in the house about how much he hates people who play this way and blah 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 blah.
It's interesting that they've been recruiting from the beginning because I know Roddy mentioned
Yes.
on the archives that he was also recruited, and a few other cast members from season 2 and this one as well. So it's like that's something that they've been doing in casting, like picking people from wherever, bitch. Like,
I really think like recruiting gets a bad rap, but I think the only issue is over recruiting, and I think the seasons that it gets annoying is when they over recruit. And I feel like as long as they keep the recruiting to a minimum, it should be majority fans. Then boom. So do you think Jason is not a good player? No, I think Jason is a good player. I just feel like he's less good than I thought. That's all, honestly. But
yeah, I feel like I had a high expectation for Jason because of the duo with Danielle. I had inklings of who Danielle was as a player already, and I do feel like a lot of Jason's legacy was, at this point, from what I'm seeing, just heavily attached to what Danielle is doing. I feel like once you see the show and really read these archives, he's not that much of an active player at all. He's mainly social, and it's mainly sociability that people kind of perceive him as, like, because they perceive him as this good old Christian version, nice boy that's not going to be angry at anything they do. Everyone wants to kind of gravitate towards him. And like I said, he plays into that, not purposely, but he does play into that. Like I said, with this week, that is his true personality. And there is multiple ways you can win Big Brother. So if he's still one playing that way, I mean, I can't hate enough to where you don't have to really do anything and people are just going to carry you to the end. But that's not the type of player that I thought he was. I thought that he was really in here shaking and moving, and it's not giving.
Secret duoing it up, and he's not really secret duoing.
And I think, and that's what someone said on Twitter too. That was like, they feel like it's more of the legacy of the secret duo, which I agree. And what I've analyzed from watching is that this is definitely just kind of like the idea of what people use going forward. Like, we have to stay under the radar, keep it quiet, but they definitely didn't do it in the way I feel like we're gonna get moving down the line. Like, we've seen secret duos with June and Allison. I mean, and there's just more in later seasons that really kind of divide and conquer. And I just felt like when people were telling me the tales of the secret duo, Jason and Danielle, it gave that in this season. And I do feel like it's mainly Danielle working with Marcellas, working with Lisa, and she checks in with Jason. But that's kind of it. He's just been getting checked in. And Jason himself, because he is good socially, he's able to maintain safety for himself. But as far as being an active player, like I said, he's really not.
Yeah. And it's really like this concept because, we got the cookout in BB23. And I talked about it on my discussion that I had about what's the best Big Brother strategy. And we talk about the parachute strategy, which is really just an expanded secret duo. And so when we talk about it, we talk about how the origin of that idea concept is this with Danny and Jason. And I think the concept still is, this is the core of the concept. And I think the main thing that is true about Danny and Jason is that people don't know how close they are. My issue is it's just so vague because people still know they're close. They just don't know how close they are and that they're literally a final two. And it's like some people do and some people don't. So I really think this is just a very vague, very, starting point to the concept of a secret duo. And then we actually get secret duos in the future. And it's no shade. I just think because this is the start and the concept, and because they're saying it, really, it's more so because they're saying it.
And
they're
show
both
themselves is also pushing it.
Yeah, it's being pushed. It's like this idea that's being pushed because it is an interesting idea. And it's not that it's not happening. It's just not as extensive as it might seem.
It's really not the main storyline of the season if you're getting into the archives of it all. Like, when you're just watching the episodes, that's what they like to go back to. There's a lot of episodes going back to, okay, this is the secret duo of the game. They trust each other. Whoop de whoop de whoop. But when you really get into it, like we said over time, like Danielle does most of her strategizing with Marcellas at the beginning of the game, and then now Lisa. And Jason, for most of these weeks, have just been out of any of the strategy talks, even with other people.
And not even nominating
mainly
Roddy.
just socializing with people. So, like I said, I don't hate it, but I just wish it was more intentional from his part,
Yeah.
because it's one thing to be social, but then to be intentionally social where you're using your social connections to create structures and create plans and create ideas. I like that a little bit more than just being a nice person. And I do feel like he's just a genuinely nice person.
Yeah. Which is good. Good for him.
Look, Fell Down the Rabbit Hole said this. Secret duo or just a secret final two?
That's what it is.
It's
just a secret final two, and I think that's the issue. It's like it's a kind of a misconception, but it's like I said, it's the origin of the concept of a secret duo that gets expanded into the brigade and then gets expanded into the cookout. So it's still like this OG. We're the first people to kind of do this. But another issue with that is like we had it didn't stay secret, but we had a concept of a secret alliance last season with Krista, Monica, and Hardy. It didn't stay secret, but it's like even to say that this is the first iteration is not necessarily true because they wanted it to be secret last season. But I guess this one stays secret. But then again, is it secret because everyone knows? But then again, they don't, but they do. But hey, we're here, and it's no shade. Love them both, and I like that this idea really expanded to what it is. Now they have a podcast, woo. But breaking it down, really kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like ignorance is bliss. This was such a what's the word? This concept was very, I don't know. It was like glorified, very glorified concept. But when you break it down, now that glorification is gone for me. Now I'm like, oh, this isn't real. This ain't no real fucking secret duo. I know the tea now. So ignorance really is bliss. I kind of wish I didn't know all this extra information because now thinking back about the origin of Big Brother and Danny and Jay, it's like that's not even true. Like at the back of my mind, every time I think of it, I'm gonna be like, well, that's not how that really went. But hey, they're still icons. So yeah. The other thing that happened this week, well, at least we can talk about.
You never got into actually the Marcellas Julie.
Oh yes, I was supposed to go back to it. Wait. So Marcellas, and not just Marcellas, apparently June, and we'll get to it next BB Rewind. Apparently June also was literally on the feeds saying these things that Marcellas has said about Julie. She said it on the feeds allegedly, which is hilarious. But basically, Marcellas got on the podcast and he said he's never fucked with Julie. He's never liked her. He feels like it's so bad because a lot of people don't like Julie and they feel like she's not a good host. But he basically said she was a random person who was Les Moonvez's mistress. These are his words, not mine.
Allegedly.
That she was allegedly Les Moonvez's mistress, and that's why she got the job, and she had no credentials to really give her this job. And when she got the job, she wasn't necessarily catered for it. She wasn't the best host, he feels. And he just feels like she kind of whored her way, kind of Kihora style, to this position. And that's what he said.
And she's standing in it now. Julie Chen Moonves.
Julie Chen Moonves. And he kind of talked about
like giving up that job.
She's standing 10 toes down on the man who has hella allegations. He was all the way fired. It's clearly not allegations anymore because he's fired.
It's confirmed that she's still Julie Chen Moonves.
So it's like he definitely gathered her the way she needed to be gathered. And she's very weird in a lot of damn. No shade, but like she is weird in a lot of different instances. So I understand why he.
So you saying you wouldn't go on God 101?
I think I would go on God 101 and let her know that this is crazy that you're invited me to God 101. I like to be as honest as possible, so I would let her know that this is actually insane. But hey, we're here. Shout out to God 101, but you Julie Chen Moonves. You know what? We're not gonna get into it. So he definitely gathered her. I can't wait to see the archives of June gathering her.
I can't wait to the archives of June and Allison in general. I just know
June's gonna be saying the craziest of shit on them feeds. I already know. Because they say crazy stuff this season, but I know June says some crazy out. June is, I don't know if she's a Libra, but she's like the type of person who she doesn't censor herself. She genuinely does not care. And I think that's gonna be very hilarious. To be honest, I would love to see Julie on your podcast, girl.
You're talking about what?
Anyway, let's get into the dealings of kind of how the game is going.
Cancer.
She's a Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I don't even know what that goes into her personality as because Cancers are supposed to be sensitive. She's so hard-shelled. I'm actually surprised. So we got a lot of people talk about who they want to go home next and blah, 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 blah. So what's the name? Jason, Nom, Gerry, and Amy. Gerry goes home, of course. So people already knew Gerry was going home, and they start saying after Gerry, we have to figure out who it's going to be. And mostly Jason, Lisa, and Danny have all claimed that it needs to go Roddy and then Amy. At this moment. So all of them are claiming it needs to go Roddy and Amy, and then the good people. They've said this. The good people will be at the end, indicating them three and Marcellas are more of the good people, and Roddy and Amy don't deserve to kind of be there, and they need to go next. And
I will say that's mainly what I feel like Lisa has pushed out. We already know Danielle said Marcellas is not in her.
He's not good people. Actually,
I don't know. But it's definitely will lead to that veto decision coming soon.
Definitely. So yes, it's that's the idea. Danny's going with it, and Danny has even mentioned to Marcella stuff about Amy. So I think even Danny, I don't think this is set in stone for her. I just think set in stone for her is Lisa and Jason as final three. Yeah. So for Danny, I'm sure it's Lisa and Jason final three.
But that's the thing about Danny is that since that's all she's worried about, she's going to take out anything as a threat to that. Yeah. And after Roddy, the biggest threat
to that is Marcellas. So there's that. I think Jason and Lisa both genuinely just want it to be Roddy and then Amy. Yeah. I don't think either of them.
I don't think Jason necessarily wants that.
I don't think Jason wants anything, and that's his fucking problem. But I think Jason is basically what I feel is when Danny tells Jason what to do, that's what he'll do. But I think because she's
not this week.
She's not. Listen, hold on. But I think because she's not in reference to Marcellas, but I think because she's not saying it at the moment, in his mind, he's just thinking what they're talking about. And what they're talking about is Roddy than Amy. And I think that's the kind of mindset he's on. And when it comes to his decision this week, I think with Jason, and this is why I feel like he is just easily swayed, because I think with Jason it's about who he made a deal with, and that's why he keeps bringing up the fact that he promised Kiara and Roddy and da. I think the reason he didn't want to do what Danny wanted him to do with Roddy is because of the specific deal made. And we saw this a few weeks ago when they were trying to vote out Roddy, and they were like, we're not going to have Jason's vote because he made a specific deal that week about Roddy's vote. Jason is just too loyal to his word to, I feel, go back on a specific deal that had been made recently. So I feel like that's what the issue is.
So why are you out here making, and that's the thing though, but why are you out here making deals knowing damn well you and Danielle, and
that's why Roddy's
this man for weeks.
That's why Roddy is good, because he basically he gonna make a deal. He's gonna get you in the deal, and I think that's what helps.
And like I said, like that definitely helps Jason in the end game. Like I remember Ozza and BB23, that was a huge thing that she was going for. Like, I'm someone that keeps my word. I'm always honest, and I'm a loyal and honest person. You can win the game on the basis of those things, and I think that's kind of what Jason was going for in this earlier season. But I feel like that gameplay, it is rarely going to get you to win. Like most people, I don't think any winner has won on the basis of that at all. You know, you're going to need to get nasty. You probably get far, but as far as winning, you got to be a little cutthroat. And I think that's why he got cut in the throat.
Yeah.
At third.
Exactly. When it comes to Roddy, shout out to Levi Smith. I love TRK. I tune in every day almost. Period.
Let's make sure that's every day next time.
Make sure that's every day. Period. Okay. When it comes to Roddy, I think he's been in so much survival mode that and he doesn't have really any good allies. So we don't necessarily know what his plan is for the end game. He's just been in survival mode. We know he wants to target Danny. So that's kind of the main thing. He don't want Danny in the end. Yeah. And that's what we do now.
Girl, he against Danny. Nasty.
Real bad.
And what I find interesting from this week is that Roddy is definitely trying to like still maintain people on his side. He basically kind of got Amy. Now Amy is claiming that she would win HOH to go after Roddy. She would evict Roddy. She's claiming all of that, but I don't think Amy doing that at all. And what I noticed is that he's really was heavily trying to get Lisa on his side. Like on the archives, there's no shade. It's getting flirt. He's definitely trying to get her on his side by flirting, but baby, this is not Kihora, okay? Batting your eyelashes and massaging her is not going to get her on your side, mama. So Lisa still has him clocked, but like I said, like you said, like him being in survival mode, we really see that, and I feel like it shows that he's also a good player. Like we're kind of like trashing Jason a little bit for the decision, but it's a lot on Roddy too for making these
Mm-hmm.
social connections. I mean, he kind of lost Marcellas this week socially, but the fact that he went into this week with two people on his side that would have had his back in the vote, and Jason all the way did not put him up. I mean, 3 weeks in a row, he was able to go home and he didn't. And that's mainly because he himself is very, very active in this game. And like I said, I really appreciate it compared to a Hardy last season, because Hardy would be actively playing, but then wants to play up this, oh, I'm not the
Hardy would do the
line.
I'm not having game. Hardy is a
Right.
mixture. He wants to be Jason.
Right.
But he's really Roddy, and so he would do a bunch of active game shit, put himself in a good position or okay position, and then be like, I don't want to talk game actually.
And it's like, girl, please.
It's like after
like
you made 3 alliances, now you don't want to talk game. Oh.
So I like that Roddy is like actively working to put himself in a better position, and it's definitely the reason why he's still going to be in top 6. Now, I know who the top 5 is, so I know the days are numbered, but I mean, that's really impressive. Like, seeing it play out in this way, I'm just very, very shocked that he made the top 6. Like, gagged. Even though the show happened 20-something years ago, I'm very shocked that he was able to get past this week. Like, literally, I cannot believe Jason did not put this man up.
And I'd argue he shouldn't even be going at 6, considering who gets 5 and who takes him out at 6. It's like, part of me feels like they didn't even make the right move. So it's like he should have probably made it even further. And he just, honestly, 6 kind of seems premature for the caliber of player he is. It's kind of weird. Same with Krista. Krista got 6 as well. I feel like these earlier seasons, players are I guess, good player. I don't know if there's just more good players in general, but in newer seasons, if you're that high of a caliber of player as Krista and Roddy is, you gonna make it to top 4. Like, really, it's very hard for you to just get snipped or cut or whatever. I feel like 6 or even a top 5 in new age BB, there's 16 players. Him getting 6th in a 12-player class, you only made it halfway. It's like, it seems just so early for him to be so good of a player. But I think it's just because of how little the cast is, and then how old the season is, and how many more people are actually playing the game. Because no shade, future Big Brother, he wouldn't have so much competition like he does here. It would not be Marcellas, Jason, Danielle, and Lisa all playing the game. It would just be like Danielle. And it would be him and then a bunch of duds who he could probably manipulate and convince, and then just Danny. Because nowadays, there's only like 2 or 3 head honcho players, and then everyone else is kind of just a pawn. And I feel like I wish we got back to more casting like this. I don't know what they were doing.
We're kind of getting that now, though.
We're getting more into it.
Yeah. Like, I feel like 23, 24, 25. Not 25 because it's Sari.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was
even
mostly
then, it's like, because
it
was like, even when you think of 25, Sari only held that position because she has so much knowledge. Once you take out Sari, there's so many people. That's why, like, once the house flipped on Sari, you know, I mean, Corey could have taken it, Jack could have taken it, Matt could have taken it, Blue could have had her little winter arc era. You know, there's a lot of different ways that game could have went. So I just feel like we're getting back to that for sure. Because
I think we are.
To be Derek, then Vanessa,
and that's it.
Then Paul,
and that's it.
Then Tyler,
and that's it. Just one. It would just be one. And then there would be like their one potential competition, like, oh, maybe Haley could. Oh, please. Anyways, so, but yeah, you're right. I think we are getting more back into that era. But it just feels weird. It's like, damn, you're a pretty good player. You can 6th, do better. But
Marcellas is hilarious this week because last week he is the main one pushing. I'm done with Danielle. Danielle has to probably go next. I'm not going after Roddy. And all of a sudden this week, when Jason wins and doesn't do it, he's calling, well, Jason, that was a weak move from Jason. Like, why would he not put that man up? And now he's walking around here annoyed with Amy because he feels like Amy too close to Roddy. And now he's back with Marcellas and Lisa. He's back with Danny and Lisa saying, Roddy has to go next. I want this to be the end game. He's saying he doesn't even want Amy in the end game. And I think that's kind of what Marcellas' issue is. Like, we were discussing a little bit off the podcast, that he really hasn't made up his mind who he wants to go to the end game with. Like, we have a player in this game right now, Marcellas. He's close with everyone here. Every single person here, even Gerry, even though he trashes him all the time, he has a good relationship with him. So I feel like he's in a situation where he doesn't know what to do. Like, he's even mentioned it on the feeds, like, Amy, we have to win HOH because we're running out of people to nominate. And so I feel like he is going with the kind of house decision almost with Roddy at this point. But it's like, he doesn't realize that Danielle has kind of already decided who she wants her end game to be. And so because he doesn't have that end game that he's working towards, he's making kind of just, I feel like, rash decisions or erratic, sometimes emotional decisions, because he's not really thought out, okay, this is my end game. Like, I would assume it's like potentially Danielle, potentially Jason, but he's thrown out everyone's name, like Amy, Lisa.
He doesn't even know.
It hasn't been established, and he's not really working towards any goal. And so I feel like, maybe the move would have been to keep Roddy and going into this next situation that he wins, but it would take a plan, and he doesn't really have a plan.
It's an interesting situation, him, and then like what he's kind of doing right now, where he doesn't really have a plan or an idea of who he wants in the end game. And then also earlier in the season, when Roddy was in a good position, he wasn't creating other targets and stuff. These are concepts that you see in BB3, but you probably don't see. You're not going to see often in a new season because meta has kind of become a part of the game. You just kind of know to make a final three and stick to it and kind of have an idea of who you're going to the end with. You kind of just know to make a target of this person if you're in the power position. So it's like these mistakes that Roddy kind of made, and that's kind of what caused Roddy to get in this sticky situation. You didn't push the house towards somebody else. You just kind of let the house be. And then what Marcellas is doing, which is not deciding or coming up with who he actually wants in the end game. He's just being indecisive. And you wouldn't see that after 20 years of the season and having a meta and an idea of what's happening.
Well,
you really
some people you'll still see it from, and
that's the issue.
Most people know what they're doing. And
exactly.
To praise my mama.
Praise
my mama a little bit. I love that Danielle is showing these qualities within the season. Like she has been setting up targets. She has been deciding who she wants in her end game to work towards that goal. Like I feel like as a player, the way Danielle thinks is very much modern day Big Brother. And she's all the way in the origins. I feel like that's why she was able to let Roddy stay for so long and still get him out. I mean, she has been building up this Roddy target for a while. And I think that will eventually lead Marcellas to want Roddy out because they've been talking about it for months at this point. So it was still a done decision. And even though her closest ally did not take his ass out, I just feel like I like that she had a backup plan. She has something to bounce back to. Like we see, Roddy kind of talks about this week how all of his allies are gone. Josh, Kiara, he think Lisa his, but she not. Everyone that he had is gone. And he really doesn't have that backup plan. And, we see him working very scrappy to get it back, to get people on his side. And it's worked, but it's not anything long-term. I feel like Danielle set up long-term, stable foundations that she could fall back on for this part of the game. And it's happening tenfold. So that's the mama right there.
That's that. And with Marcellas, like that's his problem. He just really needed to have an idea, a concept, or a goal to get to the end. And like we said, we've been saying with Danny, like ever since week 4, when Lisa became a part of her side, she said, yep, Jason, it needs to be me, you, and Lisa instead of me, you, and Marcellas. And that's the thing. She always had an idea of who was going to be in the end. And that's what's helped her be able to and we know she eventually reaches the end with who she wants to be in the final 3. And it's like, that's how you get there, is having an idea. You can move towards that goal. Marcellas doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know where to move. He doesn't know what to do. He's confused. He's just like, oh, let me just win HOH, because it's like, you don't know where you want to go. You need to say, okay, fuck it. I want Amy and I want Jason in the final 3. So let's make sure that happens. And how can I make sure that happens? And then he can move that to that goal. But not knowing, it causes him to do stuff like what he's doing now, is making sure he wins HOH. Because honestly, if his goal is him, Amy, and Jason in final 3, he doesn't need to win the next HOH. He can let Roddy do it. So Roddy can take out Danny, they can take out Roddy, and they'll be the final 3. So it's like, because he doesn't know where he wants to go, he's scared and he thinks he needs to win this next HOH. And it's like, he's not able to really think about what he should do because he doesn't know what to do because he hasn't decided. And that's his motherfucking problem. And that's what's annoying, because I gave him the highest score last week. And we can pull it up. I gave him the highest score last week because I felt like he had connections with everyone and a deal with everyone, and he was in the best position in that sense. But it's like, if you don't know what to do with the position, and we kind of see people even in modern Big Brother get in a position to do something with this potential you have, or this idea that's just right in front of your face. Like we saw with Mimi sometimes. We saw like this concept right in front of her face. American Courier right there. That's an easy way to lock in with them, take out everybody else, get to the end, do whatever you know. And she just kind of just let it just sit there. And it's like,
Yeah.
mamas. And
You
that's what
can't
Marcy
go with
do.
the flow too much. At the end of the day, like, and I think that's what everyone kind of gets stuck in. Like, oh, I just want to lay low and stay out of the game. That's not good because if you're not in the game, you're not helping move the game forward. So once the game starts doing shit that's out of your control, you won't have anywhere to go. And that's how Mimi went home. She went home as
Yep.
collateral damage because she was not preparing herself. She was not involved the way she needed to be. And you see that happen all the time. So many players who have great potential or who are just waiting for their moment, they don't get it because if you're not the person at least helping dictate to where the game is going, then you're not going to have any power when it really matters.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into these motherfucking ratings. Gerry went home. Finally, God. We've been giving him 2s and 3s for the
First
whole
time
season.
nominated though.
First time nominated. I'll give him that. Lee. And I was telling Lee, I was like, it honestly, I'm grateful he's going home because it just felt like this random blob, this black blob just walking around the house because he was just meaningless.
Oh my God. You know what to remind me of?
What?
The Black Mirror episode when you can block somebody.
Yes.
Shows as a blob. That's so scary. Imagine you can actually do that in real life. Oh my God.
I hate Black Mirror because the shit is like, this could be real, couldn't it? But what are you giving Gerry overall, girl?
I mean, I'm gonna just stick with the 3 with Gerry overall. I like that Gerry really tried to be active as a person. I mean, even this week I was reading in the archives, he had conversations with everyone about potentially keeping him. He even tried to make a deal with Jason that maybe he can use veto on Amy. You put up Roddy. It could be a clash. He said the 2 big strategists.
Yeah.
Please. But I really like that he was an active person. When he had power, he made deals. He went after, I feel like, the correct target at the time, which was that Showman's Alliance. He, I feel like, was one of the more intelligent players when it comes to reading the game this season. Unfortunately, he was just not liked. And he kind of did do that to himself when we're looking back in retrospect because he used that veto on Marcellas week 1. Which was, very much against what the Showman's Alliance wanted at that time. And then he went around calling them all racist and homophobic. So they were done with his ass. But like I said, I there's a part of me that loves that he took that stand because we have Marcellas going in the top 6, and Marcellas could have been the first person evicted. And then just for the overall morality of it all, like a lot of the things that he was quote unquote standing up for, it became performative, but it's things that people in today's day and age would not stand up for. So I do appreciate that he went out his way to do that, but it did kind of sink his game with half of the house. And then he lost connections with the side of the house that he chose. They never liked him.
Yeah.
But this happens a lot. I feel like we see in Big Brother where there's this character that the house is just not fucking with. No matter how hard they try to get involved, they'll never like them that much. And I do feel like I have to take that into account for their score because even though I feel like I didn't see much work that Gerry was doing himself that deserved the hate that he was getting, he was still getting it. And he was not able to really make any moves past what he did, which was not necessarily much. So I think I'm going to stick with the 3. I don't think he deserved as much hate as he got throughout the season. And he could have been a way better player, probably a way higher score if he didn't get it. But that's how I land.
It's a 3. And I agree with what you were saying. And like when it comes to that player who is like, damn, no one just likes him, and it kind of feels like for no reason. I remember I used to always say like, it's a social game at the end of the day, and if everybody don't like you, you need to be doing something differently, and da 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 da. And I remember at the beginning of BB24, I was like, ooh, hold on, but Taylor ended up winning the game because she was still good socially. So to me, it's like there's still a distinction between if you're good socially, even if you're a house pariah, you can get to the end and win the game like Taylor did because she actually is good socially. And that actually was just her being a black woman and them hating that, honestly. And then when it comes to players like Gerry, it's like, you probably just aren't actually good socially because if Taylor Hill was able to go from that to the win because of her social game, your social game should have been able to get you something, baby. And it didn't give him nothing. And it's like, they constantly hated him. Like, there was never a point where they were like, okay, wait. Even like last season with Will, it's like, they hated his guts. And then it was like, actually, we kind of like him. And it's like, if you have a good social game, if you have a good part of your game anywhere, because it could just be strategic to where it's like, oh, they think they need you. And that could help you. And it's like with Gerry, it's like, they didn't think they needed him. They didn't like him. He didn't ever overcome that hump. And now that I've seen players overcome the hump, to me, it's like, it's on you, baby, because it can be done. It could be done. It was done last season. literally. So it's like, I don't know. It's a 3. But I actually kind of want to give Kihora a 0.5 of a point. I was in between the 3 and
Yeah,
the
I
3.5
literally was
last
thinking
season.
that when I gave him the 3 because I'm like, I think that she deserves a little bit more.
Yes, you
So change
agree.
one too.
Especially because after the aftermath, like after at the beginning of this week, after Kiara went home. Damn, Kiara. Sorry. Fuck. After Kiara kind of slips out real nicely. Kikora. It's like kind of pretty a little bit. You know how they're like, oh, chlamydia is a good name for a daughter.
Oh
like
my god.
It's like it's kind of pretty. But anyways, especially seeing the reaction, Danny genuinely crying. She was actually crying
I
in
was
the
like,
diary room.
get the fuck up.
Hold the fuck on. But it just shows me
Because
because
Kiara didn't even vote your ass, girl.
I love a good social game though, because Lisa was regretting voting her out after Kiara voted her out.
Girl,
Like,
I was like,
has that nasty. So honestly, I might give her a 4. But no, she really has like a nasty.
She was still doing some dumb shit.
She was doing so much dumb shit, and that's our problem. But she has a very, very nasty social game. When people are regretting voting you out or like literally bawling and crying, it was very reminiscent of what happened with Krista when she went home out. Everybody was crying. It's an indicator. So I'll give her that 0.5. She still just did so much stupid shit. But anyways, boom. Roddy, girl, because Roddy had the lowest score, but it was really just because of his position. And it's crazy. He didn't even get nommed this week. And I really, really like that. But like I said last week, and the reason I gave him a low score last week, it's like because it's been week on top of week on top of week where everyone in the house has agreed that you need to go. It's a matter of time before it's his time to go. And I feel like that concept that keeps that has been continued on, it's not good for him, and it's going to lead to him just going home. And now that Gerry has even left, it leaves like not even any options. You know, he only has like maybe if Amy or Marcellas or himself wins HOH, maybe that can be good for him. But first of all, you don't even win. And then even if they win, they can easily be convinced not to do it because, like we said, Marcellas and Amy had a lot of conversations. And Marcellas said, I'm not nominating you. I'm not nominating Lisa. I'm not nominating Jason. And I can't nominate Danny. So that just leaves Roddy. So even Marcellas, if he wins HOH, which we know he does, he will probably just feel like he has to put up Roddy and take him out. Amy might just feel like she has to do it because the house wants it. So it's like just not in a good position, even though he ate it up and made sure he wasn't nommed. And I really like that. And I want to give him something for that. So I'll give him a 4 because he really ate that. I want to give him 4.5 actually, because he really ate that up. I really love that he saved himself from being even nominated. But he's just in the worst position.
Yeah, and I think definitely another bad thing is that he did lose at least Marcellas for sure. I don't know about Amy, but he lost Marcellas.
Yeah.
And that's a big issue. If he was able to kind of keep that relationship with him, maybe they could still go into top 6 against her. Marcellas is HOH. He could have, something in his ear to kind of flip him against Danny, but it just wasn't going to happen. And I think that is also kind of more on Danny's good game as well. Like, he's a good player, but he's also playing against Danielle, one of the legends. Okay. So there's only so much that his influence can go compared to hers, which is another problem. But I like that he was able to keep himself. The fact that he was not on the block this week is crazy. The fact that he was a target 3 weeks in a row. I feel like the main reason why he's a target going into the next round is because it's been so long, like you said. And Danielle has been building this target on his name. But it's the fact that he still got a chance to potentially keep himself in the game is crazy. He was second in that HOH. He could have won and been in top 5. He could have not only won, but still had a chance to target Danielle. Because if he's HOH and he's targeting Danielle, well, a decision has to be made. Might as well go ahead and take out Danny here. Like, there was still a chance that I feel like the best strategic player this season could have went home at the hands of the person she has been targeting for a while in this game. So the fact that he still had the opportunity to upend her structure, I mean, in a way, still upended her structure. The fact that her closest ally, the person that she has put in the most work up into this position, did not make a move to benefit her. He made a move that could have ended her game the very next week. Like, I think that's good on Roddy. I'm going to give him the 5. It would be much higher if the position was better. But he definitely deserves something for the good work that he's done over these last 3 weeks, honestly.
Yeah, he's been eating it up. It's crazy. How you feeling about Amy? She got her one good score last week.
She got her one good score. I do live for me some Amy, but she was nominated this week. She is definitely the early rendition of a good old nasty Pawn star.
Yeah.
Someone we know is just gonna put on the block. She ain't gonna be too mad. No one gonna vote her out. She's gonna be good to go. I like Amy as a personality, but definitely she's just not really involved in the game. Even her closest ally Marcellas is now bashing her. I don't think he would mind to see her out. As far as Danielle and Lisa and Jason goes, like, she has a relationship with them, but it's mainly proxy Marcellas, and obviously they're not protecting her in any way because she was nominated. And I think she's going to continue to be this pawn. And then as far as even winning the game, I don't really see
unlikely.
Right. It's very unlikely. She's a great personality, and I love her down. I love her down. And she was staying this week. Like, she was no way going home. And I think that's her best thing right now. No one's going to target Amy, but I'm also looking at, like, the win equity of it all, and I feel like that's low as well. So I think overall, I'm going to settle on a 4 with Amy. She's not an immediate target, but she is an immediate nominee.
So. Yeah, it's hard with Amy. She really only has one ally, Marcellas, and he don't even like her like that. I don't think Roddy will nom her, though, so it kind of gives her some options. And she could win an HOH. She's already won one.
Oscar. Beautiful gowns. Gorgeous, actually.
Beautiful gowns. Very beautiful woman. Love her. But yeah, she could win a comp, and her allies could win a comp. So that's good. That could keep her further in the game. And I was telling Lee this. I was like, it's weird because noticing the strategy kind of die down, it just seems like it's now coming towards just winning comps, and it's like that's kind of something we don't see till like the newer age season. So it's interesting to see in BB3. It's kind of like they're working together. Who wins the comps, they're gonna move forward. So in a way, that's beneficial to Amy, because if her and Marcellas can just win the comps, she can make it to the end and lose. And that's our problem. But she can still make it to the end. Or even if Roddy can win a comp, it's like that's one extra week. And then if Marcellas wins the next one, like, just because of the potential for just like there's not a lot of movement when it comes to the strategy, she could get to the end just on comps. So I like that, but I don't even like that. That's kind of not a good way for you to get to the end. But that's good. I don't think it's that bad, but everything else is terrible. Closest ally don't even like you. You could get pawned at any moment. Could go home at any moment. Not in anybody's final plans. Not even Marcellas, because he doesn't have any. So it's a 3. It's a 3, and it could be a 2. That's really generous. Next is Jason. Now, Jason ain't been in the. When has Jason been in the top 3? Let me scroll up.
Yeah, girl. It had to been a minute.
Okay.
It was 1 week. I know the secret duo was definitely.
Okay, so week 3 and week 4, and he like that's the thing. At week 3, he was top 2, and then he just went down. And he went down.
And it's not even necessarily he went down. Other players got more active and started doing more things for their individual game. Lisa and Marcellas became very, very individual and self-interested players once their duos went home. Jason kind of kept his duo, and she's also just a dominant player in so many ways. But that's also just not his game. I feel like with Jason this week, once again, he openly told everyone, I don't want to be involved in any of these game talks. You think about flipping the vote. Ooh. I don't want no parts of it. But like I was saying earlier in the podcast, what's so interesting about him is that he is able to kind of play in Danielle's face, and Danielle's not dropping that final 2. Even though he has had a relationship with Lisa is still probably not going after him anytime soon at all. Marcellas wants him to the end game. Amy does as well. Roddy at this point doesn't necessarily have a choice because no one else is willing to work with him. So I feel like that is what's so interesting about Jason's game is he is such a good social player, and it's because he is such a likable person. And that's kind of what you just said about Gerry. Like, at the end of the day, this is a social game, and if he's able to get to the end based on everyone just liking him and loving who he is, then you have to give 10s for that. And I do think that, even though it was a very weak decision, even though I feel like he made it because he was manipulated by Roddy in a sense, he could still win this game. Next to Roddy, probably not. Which was like, but still, it's like Roddy's still the biggest target in the game. Roddy still just goes next. He still eventually makes it to the top 3 where he goes. And I think it's because of how liked he is. Like, there's not anything he could have done that would have pissed really anybody off that much. He could have took it out of Danielle. The only person who would have been mad was Danielle for real, probably. It's like that's in the position that he's in. I guess I just personally don't like it, especially like we said earlier, in comparison to what we've heard about Jason. I just thought it would be way more active than what it is. So personally, for me, I'm gonna stick with the 6. Like I just
Mhm.
feel like there's a level of involvement it could be that's not even like Danielle level. Because I feel like even what
Just
Lisa and
anything.
Marcellas does is very simple compared to how Danielle is thinking necessarily. And so it's like I feel like he's not even on that level sometimes. It's kind of just like, I'm keeping Roddy because I like him and he's my friend.
Yeah.
I'm loyal to Danielle because we made that deal on day one. That's he made a deal with Danielle. Is that why
Mhm.
he's only loyal to Danielle? It just seems like there's not much past kind of like surface level understanding of what this game can be. Because this level of thinking in BB25, he would go home. He's not
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah. Very yeah, everything you said. It's almost just a little Matt-esque. Like I feel like even if he had why he might
Very
give
good Matt tease.
like you're very social. I would say Jason's even less active a little bit. It's like it's just very much so. Oh, they made it. Not even less, probably just equally. Like they made a deal with me. I'll just stick to the deal. And
For
this
the
person seems like
time,
they're in power. I'll stick.
definitely.
Yeah, for the times. And I feel like that's my problem. He's just not active. He's just not active, honestly. And it's not as bad in BB3 to not be that active that it is in, like Lee said, in a future season. But still, it's not the best thing. We've seen 2 of these seasons, and like I said, the entire top 6 of last season were all very active players. And he's not a very active player. And there's 5 people in this season who really is above him. So it's like him not being active isn't going to lead him to success, because you need to know. Same thing with Marcellas. You need to know where you're going in this game. Who are you going to the end with? A part of me knows his end game is Lisa and Danielle. And it's like, why the fuck is it Lisa and Danielle? You don't even talk to Lisa unless through Danielle. And it's just because Danielle made that end game plan and he's a part of it. And he talks to Lisa about it, so he's a part of it. If Danielle was like, never mind, it's Marcellas, it would be Marcellas. If Danielle was like, never mind, it's Amy, it would be him, Amy, and Danielle. Danielle was like, never mind, actually, we should take Roddy to final 3. It would be him, Roddy, and Danielle. It's literally just what Danielle is telling him the final 3 to be. And it's not as easy as that. She's not just saying, oh, this is what we're doing, but it's still that concept. Whoever got brought in by Danny is who Jason would have ended up in the final 3 with, because he doesn't have any of his own agency, which is why Roddy was able to keep himself off the block, because Jason doesn't have his own agency. This HOH, and the reason I made the screen grab a big ass picture of Roddy and a big ass picture of Danny and then Jason in the background is because it was either what Danny wanted or what Roddy wanted. And it's no shade. And it's like, it really was not Jason's active decision. It was more so how to please these other 2 people. And it's like, you playing the final 7
bitches in the game. He's like, I'm
literally you playing the final 7 like that. And this goes back to, in reality, I don't think I hate the move. I just wish the reason for the move was the reason it should be. Like I said, he regretted the move himself, so I can't even praise the move because he didn't even want to do it. But I feel like keeping Roddy and Danny in, if you're that type of manipulative player that I kind of want Jason to be, he could be like, I'm keeping them both in because they both love me and they'll take each other out. That would be a great idea.
At least he said that.
But
like
he didn't even say
the Titans.
Yeah, no. But he didn't say that. That's not even what he wants. He wants Danny to be protected. So you're doing something against what you want, and then what you want isn't even what's best. So I really don't like any of that. But like you said, Social Game is just amazing. Everyone wants him in the end game. He's making it to final 3 regardless. So I'm still gonna give him the 6 because of that. But unimpressed. No shade.
Unfortunately.
Danny, my mother. Oh, this is my mama. Very, very not good that Roddy is staying, and it's also, it looks bad that he's staying on your alleged closest allies HOH.
Girl.
He wasn't even nominated. It just feels like, did you choose the right closest ally?
No, it's like it was literally giving Haley telling Fessy not to nominate Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
And him being like, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, it's very bad. It just feels bad. It's not even feels. It is bad. It's bad for her game. It's not good.
Roddy was second in HOH. It was very
like Danny could have went home next, because I don't even think it's smart that Marcellas won. Marcellas should have threw it to Roddy, and Roddy would have took Danny out. Danny should low key be going home 5th, which is so bad, and it's because your closest ally. You can't even, not that she can't convince him, but damn, she spent all week trying to convince him and he didn't do it. So it's like, you can't even convince your closest, not you can't convince, but it's like your closest ally isn't even doing what's best for your game. So did you choose the right allies? And clearly he's not reliable. So it's like, you have unreliable allies. You never know if he's going to need to do what you need him to do. And then your biggest op, the one person who might take you out of this game, is still in the game at the final 6. That's very, very dangerous. And he could win the HOH. He got second in, which I'm gonna act like we didn't know all that. But it's just really bad. And then it goes back to it makes the previous two decisions hard because at the beginning of this week she had a diary room and she said when she's crying about Kiara, she's like, I'm also sad because I could have saved Kiara. I love her. She's one of my closest friends. And that's another thing. Kiara was one of her close friends because Kiara's whispering to her and Lisa talking about what they need to do and what they don't need to do for the rest of the game. So it's like you let Kiara go home. You didn't want her to go. And then you knew you could have flipped the vote on Roddy. And Roddy's still here even after your closest ally wins HOH. It's not good for you. All of that is really, really bad.
Talking about the Josh versus him week, child.
And then that too. So it's like she's had ample opportunity to take Roddy out. He's still here, and he was second in the HOH. She was a question away from getting sixth place in Big Brother 3. And it's like that's not good, and I don't like any of that.
I wonder if he would have known that he needed to put her up next to Jason, because now that Jason won and saved him, does he try to scratch his back? Because if he leaves Lisa and Jason off the block, he's not getting her out.
He's not, because he would put up Danny and Amy, and I think Amy would just end up going home in that situation.
So she still could have.
So I don't think so. She might have not gone
there. The fear is still there, though.
And he is smart. He could have knew that. And I was saying one of Jason. Back to Jason a little bit. One of the negatives of Jason not taking out Roddy is because Jason told Roddy for like a 30-minute conversation about how much he doesn't trust him. He sat in that room and he said, everybody told me you don't like me. And he was like, and you believe him? He's like, I kind of do believe him. I don't know if I can trust you. Da, da, da. So it's like, honestly, Roddy probably wouldn't have gave a fuck to put up Jason because he sat there and told him for an hour about how much he didn't trust him as Roddy was begging, damn near convincing him. Roddy knows he had to convince Jason not to put him up. He knows what the fuck just happened. So he probably knows Jason doesn't trust him because Jason doesn't. And that's another negative on Jason. What the fuck? But anyways, back to Danny. Other than that, I do think that she is just so good at positioning herself. She's one of the only people who has her eye on the end game. My issue is I don't think she has her eye on the win. And I was talking to Lee about this too. Like, I feel like she mostly is just like, I need to get to the end. I need to get to those final two chairs. And when you set a goal for yourself, you can achieve that goal. And Danny achieved that goal, but her goal should have been to win. I was saying one of her mistakes probably is not picking up the right person, because Gerry, like I said, he was just a blob walking around and he had made it to the top 7 of this game. And I felt like if Danny would have included him or prioritized him or picked him up, this is a concept we see in kind of later seasons with Sam and Tyler using Sam and people and Jag using Bowie Jane. You see it in this situation where it's like, it's this player that no one likes, no one really wants to work with. And then the person who kind of literally gets to the end of the game or is one of the power players, they pick them up and they use them. And it's not a concept yet. So she gets grace, but I wish she would have used Gerry because he's one of the people she likely could have, maybe not even won because people just hated her, but way easier to beat Gerry than anybody else here, or even Amy. And I feel like instead of prioritizing Gerry and Amy, these duds, these people who people don't respect, she's deciding to go to the end with Jason and Lisa. And it's like, it's a losing game. You're not beating either of them. And it's kind of just obvious even in this scenario. So it's like, it's hard because it's like, you're already in a sticky situation. And then I know you want to take out everybody who you can't beat. Like you want to take out all the people you can beat for the people you can't beat. It's like, I don't like that either. But other than that, she's just clearly super active. She's created this target against Roddy that's going to influence everyone to take him out. Everything that she's created is what's coming to the culmination. These 4 people are the 4 people she wanted at the end. The 3 people she wants at the end is the people who's getting to the end. Everything that we were saying Roddy and Marcellas needs to do is what Danny is doing. She's creating targets. She's making sure she has a final 3 set. And because of that, I think she can succeed, but it's just so many negatives that's going on with her current position and then the potential to actually win the game. And this is when I start looking at, can you win the game? And it's like, ooh. So because of that, I'm going to give her, how am I going to keep her? I'm going to give her the 6.5. I am.
Yeah. I definitely agree with everything that you were saying. I'm not going to repeat it because you hit the nail on the head, bitch. You ate that up. And for me, the reason why I went down to the 6.5 last week is because, once again, Roddy stayed. And then she also had Marcellas and Amy against her. The fact that Roddy is staying again makes me want to bring her back to the 6. I was going to bring her down. But the fact that Marcellas and Amy are no longer against her, the entire house now is a conjoined effort to go against Roddy, and I do believe that, especially with Marcellas as the HOH. I've seen his archives all week. He definitely wants that Roddy man out of here. The only thing that would fuck it up, I was gonna say if he wanted veto, but that's not how veto works yet. Yeah. So there's nothing that can fuck it up. So I do feel strongly about it, but the fact that this week her close, I would have gave it a 7. I would have gave it a 7. Even if somehow Roddy stayed, I would have gave it a 7. But the fact that how close is that lie, the main person that she has been wanting to get to the end with,
ride or
not even do this for her right here, baby, I can't. I have to stick with the 6.5. It's gonna go up for sure. But her position right now, and I hate how close it was. I hate the fact that Roddy was literally right there at winning, and he could have been smart and put her up next to Jason, and it's like that really could have gotten her. So I'm gonna keep it at the 6.5, but trust my mother's going up.
Trust. How you feeling about Marcellas?
Yeah, we kind of got into Marcellas earlier about how I really just feel like he does not understand what he wants his end game to be, and that's making him make decisions that may not necessarily be the best for him. Like going after Roddy, you can argue that maybe he could keep Roddy. I would also say that is also scary because maybe Roddy wins this game. Like they're kind of talking about it in the house that if Roddy gets to the end, he wins it all. So I can see the fear of not wanting to let him get too far. But Marcellas, he just does not realize that Danielle, Lisa, and Jason, because of Danielle, are not loyal to him. I think he still feels like he can kind of go with Jason, go with Lisa, when these are, even with Jason doing what he did this week, these are still Danielle people, especially if a Roddy goes home. So we're not there on the Roddy week yet, so I won't judge him on that decision. But this week, I like that he, was still maintaining this relationship with Danielle, even though he just spent the week trashing her. Because it opened the door for her potentially changing her mind or letting him in her end game. But I just hate the fact that he isn't really decisive on who he wants at the end. But I do really enjoy that he is literally friends with everyone in the game. Like I agree with you, kind of like maybe he should have just thrown it because he wasn't going home regardless. I don't know about Marcellas though, because I gave him the 6.5 last week because he was saying a lot of negatives about targeting Gerry and going after Danielle next. But he's kind of on the right page. But now I'm thinking like, damn, is it too late because Danielle's already made up her mind? I feel like I'm thinking way too much about what I already know.
I was just going to say, because according to the feeds, it's not. Even though we know Danny doesn't want Marcellas in the end, now if we're just going based off what we've seen and what we read, she's not saying that he has to go the same way.
That happened one day, literally.
Yeah, she's only said it in the days, and she hasn't said it as
mentioning how he has this deal with Roddy, which I'm visually leads to that decision. But if I will say, based off what I'm seeing now, I feel comfortable with the 7. I feel like socially he has the best connections in the game. No one is talking about going after him, whereas Danielle has Roddy, who is a pretty good player, with her name in his mouth, and no one is talking negatively about Marcellas and pretending like I don't know about the Golden Power veto week. I would think that Marcellas is probably about to win this game or be in those final 2 chairs at least.
I was just gonna say that like he is set up to win the game. Like it's very good for him. Everyone is with him and he's in a good position. And even winning this HOH, I'm like, I don't think he should have won it, but it's so meta Big B to throw an HOH. This is the second ever fucking iteration of HOHs. I could not expect this man to throw it. And then I feel like knowing what he's intending to do with it, which is to take out Roddy, that's a good idea because everyone in the house will feel positively about that, and he'll still continue to keep his allegiances with everyone in the house for the most part. So it's like I'm not mad about that either. I just a part of me knows he should have just threw it to Roddy, so that's why I'm like, oh, you should have threw it. But I can't even be mad about that. And when it comes to the rest of the week that was going on, it's like I feel like he did what he needed to do. He continued to maintain his relationships with people. And another thing, it's like at the beginning, I remember when Lisa was kind of just sitting there, but we kept saying, but she's in an alliance. It's kind of with Marcellas. Marcellas has a final 3 named with Danny and Lisa, and a final 3 formed day 1 with Jason and Danielle, damn near. So it's like, yes, he's not continuously talking to Jason and Lisa, but they have an alliance. So I can see in his mind, he's like, I literally have an alliance with them, and I literally have an alliance with them. So it's like, and of course he has Amy, and he has like this relationship with Roddy. So I can see in his mind, he's like, I mean, shit, I'm good. I shouldn't be overdoing it. I shouldn't be overplaying it. I literally have an alliance. So it's like, he's just positioned so nicely, and I can see why he wouldn't even do too much, but he still consistently talks game with all of them. So even that is positive. So it's like it's difficult knowing. A part of me wish I didn't know the future, because a part of me feels like if we were watching this and I didn't know anything in the future, I'd probably be giving him like a damn 8, because it's like, ooh,
Right.
but it's like just very hard for me to say that, because it's like, girl, I'm gonna get played next week when he goes home. But I'm just gonna keep him at the 7.5. Honestly, really great position. It seems like he's on the road to literally win the game. Honestly, kind of crazy how literally the week before he goes home, he's this high. A part of me is like, damn, he should have been low, but he really gets snowed, and that's why it's such a blind side, because he don't see it coming, girl.
Yeah.
Lisa is last,
but even then, it's like Danielle said, I don't want him in front of 3 anymore. She didn't say in front of 4. Like they get him at 5.
Yeah,
and it's like, ooh,
so
he would have had a chance to win a competition. Like, no, they get him.
He wins that veto. That's what's crazy. Marcellas would have won this game because he wins. He's the best at HOHs, and he wins the veto. He goes home. If he would have just used it, he probably still wins the game. This nigga is low key. Damn near.
And we're going to talk about when we get there, but nothing about what he's clocked about Danielle and Jason and Lisa thus far would make sense as to why he did not use it on himself. Like,
literally, though. Like, come on. We're going to have to see. But I remember vividly Danny making sure he did not use that veto. She eats it. And that's why that's my mama, because she's so active. She's very intelligent, and she does shit that people don't even do in BB25. She does it in BB3. Like, that's. Do I think she needed to do all that? Probably not. But anyways, Lisa still in one of the best positions for real. Very similar to Marcellas. She just has good dealings with everyone. She's in kind of this trio with Jason and Danielle, and she's in the trio with Danielle and Marcellas. Same thing as Marcellas, honestly, when it comes to that. Roddy really thinks not really, but Roddy thinks he has her or can at least bring her in, very much so. And she's really just not going to be nominated by anyone in the game. I don't feel she's going to be safe by everyone in the game. It's similar to Jason and Marcellas. Socially, she's very well protected. I feel like the people who are in danger are Danny, Amy, and Roddy. Jason, Marcellas, and Lisa, y'all ain't going home. Like y'all are in good positions in this next coming week. So that's really good for her. She's still doing good at playing. I feel like the concept of, I'm not with Danny. I'm not necessarily with Marcy. Like, everyone thinks they can work with her. Roddy doesn't even know how close she is to these other people. And it's like, why not? I don't know. But it's like, everyone thinks they can work with her. She's still in a middle kind of position. And other people are targeting each other. We know how Danny has this slight negative feeling about Marcellas. We know that Roddy and Danny have to take each other out. So it's like, there's still so much going on. And even regardless of all of that information, Danny and Jason are a pair, and Marcellas and Amy are a pair. They're both. She's the obvious take me. She's the obvious one. So it's like they have to fight it out. She's just in a very, very good position, and she has been for the last 3 weeks, which is why I'm going to keep her at the 8. Truly.
Yeah. And I agree with that 8. You know, ever since she's been in this position, she has been playing it so very well. And I like that you compare her to Marcellas and Jason, because there's also a reason why her score is a little bit higher than theirs, even though they're all kind of socially on the same level. Like, I like her more than Jason because I feel like she's way more involved. She is intentionally having conversations with everyone left in the game about future plans, about future upcoming votes, about future HOH competitions. And then as far as Marcellas, you know, we have, even if we didn't know what happened in Golden Power Veto Week, we have previous precedents from Roddy talking shit about Marcellas, even Danielle talking shit about Marcellas. So we know that people have felt iffy about him before. Lisa, we don't have that precedence. Like, there has been no negative conversations about her. During the entire game, like, the most negative thing was that she doesn't open up much. And she could have went home the week she was nominated, but that was literally the only time in this game where she was in danger of going home or talked about negatively, and it was only to potentially go home. When she did not go home, she has since been in the best position, and she has been playing that up so very, very well. And even realizing now, like, I feel like I won't take away Danielle's score too much on the basis that she's not going to the end with people that she can beat, because I do feel like none of these people are, now that I think about it. I don't really think any of these people are thinking about which one of these people that I can beat, because genuinely, Lisa, Marcellas, Danielle, Jason, or Roddy could all win, and they all still here.
That's
you know, and I think that Lisa herself is that, because no one has trash talked her. I mean, everyone here has gotten shitted on or talked about or targeted multiple times throughout this season. Lisa has not, and Lisa probably won't. There's no reason to go after Lisa, and she's the most liked person damn near the entire season, and no one has even caught that. And that's maybe because the meta hasn't been established. Like, I feel like one person should be noticing that this girl's gonna win it all, but no one has said it. She's sliding right under the radar. I think this is one of the nastiest under the radar strategies I feel like I've seen. And no one talks about it. Like, once again, like I feel like how I did with Nicole, like, where is the Lisa talk at, baby? Because this is a mother. I mean, I love watching her winning games. So no, I agree with the 8.
I agree with what you said about like no one's really thinking about who to go to end with, and that's why I want to give my girl Nicole Shafford her 10s again, because that's something she always was thinking about, even down to the randomly taking out Krista. It wasn't it was random because no one in the house really wanted it. She just randomly was like, I can't take that girl to the end because she's gonna win, and that's why I feel like Nicole is at a caliber of player that is like she really deserves her gots, because that's all she was thinking about. That's why she took Will to the end. It was wrong to think that, but honestly, the man woman thing of that all, we can get into that because everybody in America hated Nicole, and it's like, okay. But anyways, she was wrong to think she should take Will, but the whole reason she thought to take Will was because I need to take the person I can beat. Fuck a Hardy, fuck a Krista. I need to take someone who I could beat. And it's like her having that mindset and then seeing BB3 and people still not really thinking about that, it like really shows that Nicole was on another level. Shout out to her for real, because I really hate that we didn't put her in that strategic women video. Actually, but speaking of that, go watch our off-season content. We do a lot of off-season content. We do rankings, tier rankings, season rankings, player rankings. We're going to have a few more coming up before the season of Big Brother 27, 26. So definitely get into those as well. Period. I went ahead and put them in order. Nothing really changed except Amy went to the bottom.
Yeah, literally.
And honestly, when it gets to the overall ratings, it's given... It's gonna look similar to this. Danny's probably gonna be up there because Marcellas gonna go home. But anyways, these next couple of weeks are gonna be very honestly. This next week probably gonna be boring because Roddy's just going home. Yes.
Oh, okay. No. I was like, it seems like it's so many people left. How many weeks do we have left? But it's only 3.
Yeah, because final 3 is just that last week. So
they didn't have a double. When's the first double eviction ever?
BB6.
Oh, and that's what she's like, give me that key, bitch.
Yeah, she's like,
and that's
Maggie. That's that.
That was funny because that wasn't. So when is the first real double eviction? Like in the first night?
Is it BB7? I know BB7. There's a double.
That was a double eviction, but they was still.
I can't remember if. No, I don't think BB7 was the same night either. But I know Howie goes home at the double and he's like arguing with them or something like that. Was that a double? I don't know. I don't think BB7 is the same night either. Honestly, I don't know when they change it to the same night. We're gonna have to see on our BB Rewind We Watch. Make sure y'all tune in with us.
That would be an interesting way, I feel like, to do a triple eviction in today's age. Like if you have a double the day of, and then 2 days later, a third person goes home.
Did you like the triple in BB22?
No, I don't like how they did it. That
was weird, wasn't it?
I prefer the BB Can version of a triple.
It's like too much almost. It was like you know how like you do a workout and you're tired, but you still got to do like something else. It's like, ooh, it's like
they
too
were also
much.
lazy with it. Like it was the same competition, just switched. It was like, of course, the same people are winning.
It wasn't entertaining at all. But anyways, yes, that was the rankings. That was the week. I will definitely be excited to talk about these next couple of weeks. For sure.
Yeah, girl.
My man Marcellas gonna go home.
Power veto. Danielle losing. It's a lot. But once again, as we get closer to it, I was saying the same thing last season. How the fuck does Will win and how does Nicole lose? I feel like with this season, even earlier, I realized why Danielle lost.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the people that she's sitting in this in game with. I mean, it's 3 of the most liked people this season.
Yeah, it's very difficult path, but very interesting season. I don't know. We was talking about BB3, BB2. BB3 gonna have to take the cake. Sorry,
BB3 is definitely better than BB2.
I'm sorry, but you know what I will say? I definitely like the episodes of BB2 better. There's so many episodes this season, packed with filler. This week, all filler. Last week there was like 1 that was all filler. The week before it was like 2. The first week was like all of it. It was like, ooh, what are y'all doing? So episodes, BB2, and that's why I like BB2 better on my rewatch, because I only watch the episodes. Now that I'm getting into the details, BB3 is definitely better. for sure. But yes, y'all definitely get into the rest of the stuff we're doing. Like I said, we're doing off-season coverage. We're going to be covering BB26. So definitely get into all of that. Get into our RuPaul's Drag Race, our Total Drama Island, Claim to Fame's coming up, the finale of the GOAT's coming up. We're also going to be covering the Mole. So get into it all, bitch. And thank you for keeping it real, Kingdom. We
We're
out.
out, mamas.